Heartland Highways is made possible in part by Consolidated Communications, offering customers high-speed internet, phone service, and digital TV service packages that include high-definition channels, DVR, and hundreds of sports, movies, and music channels. More information on these services available at consolidated.com.
We kicked this week's show into gear with a trip to Wallace, Indiana, where we met up with a group of Model T collectors.
Then we put the pedal to the metal and head over to Decatur, Illinois for a tour of the Chevrolet Hall of Fame Museum.
In our final story, we'll visit the country's largest vintage car dealership in Staunton, Illinois.
So park it right here for the next half hour of Heartland Highways. Hello, and thanks for joining us today. This week we're coming from the place where Eastern began, the Livingston C. Lord Administration Building, or more commonly known as Old Main.
That's right, and we're standing here in the Kogel Foyer, and one of the best times to visit Old Main is during the holidays. Inside is the towering foyer tree, and outside a string of white lights outline the building.
Now, just a few years after Old Main was completed and our university's history began, history was also being made as Henry Ford started manufacturing his famous Model T.
We headed to Wallace, Indiana to meet a group of people who collect, restore, and drive these pieces of automotive history.
They're like rabbits, they multiply. One's not enough, you need two, and then it goes on from there.
It's a disease. I used to have a farming disease. Now I got into Model Ts, and it's all Nick's fault, Nick Ellingwood.
Meet cousins Nick Ellingwood and Evan Cork. Both are Wallace, Indiana natives, and both are Model T collectors. It was Nick who first caught the Model T bug back in 1988, which eventually led him to buy an old garage in Wallace for his restoration work.
This building had all fell in. It was a disrepair. I gave $2,500 for the building, and Evan and I worked all summer with his tractor, cleaning all the roofing material out because you couldn't walk from the other, and put the joists up. This was in 1999, and here we go.
During the renovation of Nick's shop, cousin Evan, who was a car collector, started to change his mind about the Model T.
He got me into it. The first year I owned 3. And I really didn't even like them, but now I've got 11, and we have a lot of fun. Go a lot of places and a lot of tours and meet a lot of nice people.
After filling Nick's shop up with both of their collections, Evan decided to build his own just across the street.
There was a house here that burnt, and I bought the lot and built the building, and then decided I'd put in an apartment and move in.
While they both have their own spaces to work, Evan and Nick still work together on projects.
If we get stumped on something, one or the other of us can figure it out, and it makes it a lot better, 2 people working on things. You need two more hands once in a while.
While they do help out friends with their Model T projects, the shops are not a restoration business or museum. But if Evan and Nick are here, they say people are welcome to stop in and visit.
We are here more in the winter than we are in the summer.
Okay.
And the door's always open when we're here. You can come in, and there's a lot of old guys that come in and they'll tell stories. There's some of the most interesting and sometimes private conversations that you get into about this stuff, and it's all neat. It's all neat. It's part of America and how it grew and how it done, and it's great.
In addition to his cars, Evan has an extensive collection of Model T bud vases, something that's hard to come by these days.
They was used in the early cars in the 20s, enclosed cars, they had a little bracket that screwed to the doorpost on the inside, and then the bud vase fit in that, and then there was a little screw holder that would hold a bud vase in, and then you'd cut fresh cut flowers and put in there, and that was the early car freshener.
While the vases may be hard to find, the cars and parts for them are not. After all, 15 million Model Ts were manufactured.
Henry Ford made the first car, his car, in 1903, and it was progressed A, B, and C, and up until it got to T in 1909. And then he stayed with that T designation in 9. But there's coupes and sedans and roadsters and touring cars and town cars and couplets. He had a lot of them. There's a lot of people interested in this hobby. They do perpetuate the hobby because there's people with means and knowledge to reproduce the stuff that you need. You can buy almost anything you need for a Model T through the network of the Model T Ford Club.
If you ask Nick or Evan, both will say their cars are not show cars. They are for touring, and that is exactly what they do.
We collect and we drive and we have fun. We try to drive them around. We don't. At one time I built a show car and it wasn't fun, because I was worried about somebody scratching it all the time.
Thanks to the Model T Ford Club of America and its many chapters, tours are held around the country, and on this day, we happen to catch the Indy 500 Club Ride. This tour takes participants through the famous covered bridges of Park County, Indiana.
Our tour starts on a Saturday with a short tour on Saturday, and a full-day tour Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and a short day on Wednesday. We got them from New Hampshire, California, Wisconsin, Florida. Yep, we got Arizona. We got a lot of stuff going on.
On the day of this tour, one destination was Wallace that included a visit to Nick and Evan's shops, as well as lunch at the 341 Cafe. Even though the weather was a bit chilly, especially if you were riding in a convertible, these motorists don't seem to mind, and neither do their four-legged companions. Events like these really showcase the many styles and colors. Nope, they weren't all black, of the Model T. It gives people who love these cars a chance to swap stories, share advice, and even get some roadside assistance.
They're all sharing the same problem, hoping this Model T gets there, hoping it gets there without breaking down, And if it breaks down, can I count on Joe to have some parts to fix it?
So you had to travel with parts?
We do. And we, on this particular tour, and a lot of tours, we've got an official parts guy that's got a whole trailer full of expendable parts.
This is a slower pace. You drive 25, 35 mile an hour, all the back roads, and you see a lot more stuff.
These cars are fun cars. They're simple cars. They're a challenge. You face the same challenges as the people that bought these cars when they was new, keeping them running, innovating, and trying to make them better and trying to do better with them. And they're a great avenue to meet the people. The people are the hobby. And you meet some of the nicest people in the world.
For this next story, we headed back over to Illinois to visit a museum dedicated to Chevrolet.
In Decatur, we met Lavelle Hunt, whose car collection got so big, he needed to open a museum.
I've always been a diehard Chevrolet fan. I grew up, my family always had Chevrolets, and I just, I always liked the Corvette, I always liked the Camaro, I always liked the Chevelle, and of course those are all Chevrolet brands.
Like a lot of car enthusiasts turned collectors, it doesn't stop with just one car, and Lavelle Hunt is no exception. It all started with a '69 Chevelle, and the rest, as they say, is history. After building and outgrowing garages at his home, he had the dream to one day open his own museum here in Decatur. So when a vacant 30,000 square foot grocery store building became available, Lavelle purchased it and fulfilled that dream, called the Chevrolet Hall of Fame Museum. Specializing in Chevy cars and memorabilia, the museum is designed to impress as you step through the door.
I just thought, you know, there's no better way to start it out with the current year Indianapolis 500 pace car.
A big Indy 500 fan, Lavelle's pace car collection is impressive and includes the first Corvette pace car from 1978, as well as the first Camaro pace car from 1967.
These are actual pace cars that were used at the Indianapolis 500 for each year, but they didn't actually pace the race. They were used for pace car duties, festival car duties, track car duties, and executive people for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway or for the 500 Festival Committee drove these cars. This particular car here was assigned to the Indianapolis Police Department.
It's also the one that Lavelle let me drive. Around the parking lot, that is.
I think I'll take it.
Bye! Since I wasn't taking this one home with me, it was back inside to see more.
We start with the Corvettes from 1957. It is a very, very rare car. It has factory dual quad carburetors. It has the off-road camshaft in it. It's got a lot of the original paint on it. It is a factory black car with red interior. And then we move on up into the 58, 60, 61, 63 split window, which is a very rare car. That's the only year that they made the split window in the back of the coupe. And then we go all the way up to 2009 here as far as the Corvettes go, all the way up to the 2009 Z06.
The museum also has a collection of Camaros from the oldest to the newest.
Just so happens that the first Camaro that we have is the 1967 Camaro Indy 500 pace car, which also belongs to a very good friend of mine who is a well-known restorer around the city of Decatur, restored lots and lots of Camaros. And he actually owns the particular one that's on display. But we have the 67 Camaro Indy 500 pace car, and then we also have the 2010 Camaro Indy 500 pace car that was actually used in this year's 2009 Indianapolis 500.
This 2002 model is particularly unique and something you won't see on the highway.
And this particular model that I purchased from my good friend that owned a Chevrolet dealership was called a B4C, which is a police pursuit model. It was not available to the public, and I don't know how I ended up with it, but but it was not available to the public, and it was actually ordered special. It has the leather interior and a 6-speed transmission. Does have the all-aluminum Corvette engine in it. Has the no catalytic converters on it, and it's basically a non-restricted platform, if you will. And so very, very neat car, and it presently has 120 miles on it.
Between all the Vettes and Camaros, on the walls and hanging from the ceiling are hundreds of pieces of memorabilia.
It seems that guys that collect Chevrolets have just as much of a passion for the memorabilia as they do the cars themselves. Right along with all that is, you know, the memorabilia for each car, you know, all the signage and different things like that, all the Indianapolis 500 memorabilia. But then in the back we have what I've kind of turned into an old vintage Chevrolet parts department. And we have NOS parts from the 30s all the way through today, new parts through today. And it's just kind of neat. It's in an old display case from 1914.
About 50% of the museum is Lavelle's private collection, with the remaining on loan from friends and collectors.
We have an old front engine rail dragster that belongs to another friend, Paul Berry. And then, of course, my good friend that owns Bullock Garages, that's his car that he raced for years and years and years, which is a 67 Chevrolet Camaro drag car.
And if you're wondering, the answer is yes. Lavelle does drive every one of his cars in the museum. In addition to the museum, there is the adjacent Dreamer's Diner, also Lavelle's idea. If you're in the market for your own classic car, you can purchase one from the museum's consignment area. But if you happen to own one already and you're looking for a place to store it, this is also the right place.
We actually have an additional 11,000 square foot in the back of this building, where we do actually do state-of-the-art climate-controlled storage, and that's a big part of this whole museum thing, is the fact that we're able to do that.
With the help of many friends, family, and a lot of long hours on his part, Lavelle has been able to bring his love for Chevrolet to the public. While he spends a great deal of time here, he also continues his career with Conseco Life Insurance.
You know, this is my passion. You know, this is my lifeblood right here. This is what keeps me going. You know, and a lot of people say, well, you never sleep, or you never do this, you never do that, and you know, to have something like this, you got to work, or you can't do it. You know, it's been really, really neat to see the way the thing has transpired and came along. I mean, it's just, you know, like I said, the day we walked in, it was you would have thought that we were nuts. We worked countless hours in here and nights, and now it's just really gratifying to see the way the places came together.
So if you're off to see the USA in your Chevrolet, or any other car model for that matter, be sure to stop by the Chevrolet Hall of Fame Museum, located off US 36 in Decatur, and it's open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Some of our favorite adventures were ideas that came from viewers like you. If you think there's a place we should see or a person we should meet, let us know about it. Just make sure it's in the Illinois, Indiana, or Missouri area. Drop us an email at heartlandhighways@weiu.net, call us at 1-877-727-9348, or send us a letter to 600 Lincoln Avenue, Charleston, Illinois, 61920.
Now, after seeing all the cars in those last two stories, you might think that owning one could be kind of fun.
In this final story, we'll take you to the place to browse for and buy classic cars.
Sandwiched between an original stretch of Route 66 and Interstate 55 sits a one-of-a-kind car lot that you can't miss. With an ever-changing inventory of 300 cars under roof and another 300 or so outside, Country Classic Cars is most likely the largest dealer of its kind in the U.S. and maybe the world. But this sprawling complex started with humble beginnings on a farm site about 10 miles away. After purchasing and then selling a rare 1957 Chevy business coupe, Russell and Anita Knoll were able to reinvest that money and buy more cars.
That's what got us started. Next thing you knew, I had 3 or 4 and 5 or 6, and just kept investing, you know, what basically we made and buying more cars.
In 1998, a zoning issue at their farm forced the Knowles to seek a new location for their business.
We had 30 days to basically move our business. And this was a cornfield. So we bought it, and we was going to put up a small building. And I said, well, we'll at least put up a building that'll hold a few cars. So we put up our first building and filled it with cars immediately. And we were just going to do like a little mom and pop, you know, just me and the wife was going to work here like, you know, 4 hours a day like we did at home, you know. Yeah. But right away we figured out, and that's how we hired Tim. He came out looking for a job, and we hired him, and he's been here ever since almost day one. And now we have 4 full-time salesmen, and they do real good, so.
What started with one building grew into several more, each housing a variety of cars and trucks from the 1920s to the 1980s. Vehicles are packed bumper to bumper and feature makes and models like Packard, Hudson, Studebaker, and Dodge, just to name a few.
I kind of like what I call reasonably priced, probably something less than $20,000 that we can sell them for. We have some nicer cars, but my favorite ones are the cheaper, probably $10,000 range. There's a lot more people out there that can afford those, you know.
About every other weekend, Russell travels the country purchasing cars for the lot. He'll also buy them out of the newspaper and take in consignments too. Their inventory moves fairly quick because these cars are priced to sell, not sit.
And a lot of times we get a car in and we think, well, what should we price it at? And we price it and it sells right away, and then we always wonder, maybe we should have priced it higher, but my theory is you can't go broke making a profit. So we've had a lot of dealers come in and buy, several cars at a time. So that tells me that we priced them right, which means we bought them right because we made money, and they're going to take them and make money. So that's good.
The cars here come in just about every size, color, style, and condition, from turnkey to TLC. Full restoration is generally left up to the buyer, but some cars will get a new paint job or interior work. Of the 600 cars in stock, Russell says about 70% of them actually run. While browsing and kicking tires is common for shoppers, Russell does have a few rules when it comes to his cars.
I don't like for people to open the hoods outside and they don't. Some of them old cars, you got to be careful to open the hoods, and I don't like them opening the car doors. But they do pretty good most of the time, yeah. So that's about it really, and then if you're interested, why, we'll let you road test one. It's really nice that people can come and look at them, and and then you never know, they'll come back maybe and buy one someday. But we charge $1 a person for them to look at them, and I think that's reasonable for 600 cars they can look at. So.
With so many vintage vehicles in one location, Hollywood has called upon Country Classic Cars to supply vehicles for major motion pictures.
The first one was Ali, and they had 50 cars in that movie, and they rented 46 of them from us. So that kind of helped us pretty good because, we got the cars back. They did a little bit of tearing up, they ate in them and stuff, and they was a little mess and they'd cleaned up, but that was really good. So of course then that enabled us to buy more cars. And
with access to classic cars on a daily basis, you might think that Russell has amassed quite the personal collection.
Every once in a while I'll bring one in, and we just bought one today. I don't know if you've seen it up there, a little 79 Chevy Malibu. Belongs to an 80-year-old man. He bought it brand new. And that car has never been wrecked. It's just got 60,000 miles. That would be a good one to keep, but the trouble with keeping them, you got to store them inside, and an old car, you really need to drive them too. And I just don't take time, but one of these days I might try to collect some for myself, but not right now.
For the Knowles, they never imagined that their hobby would turn into such a successful business, but now they wouldn't have it any other way.
When we opened this up, we just thought we'd have a little small business. Again, we thought we'd just, be here like 4 hours a day and have, I told the wife, I never will forget that, when we opened up, it was 40-some cars. I said, I'd like to get maybe 80 or 90 cars, and she said, it's crazy to have that many cars. So I don't know, she probably thinks I'm really crazy today with over 600, but she likes it. She likes it, and I do too, so. I don't know, I think one of these days I might want to retire, but then what would I do if I retired?
So whether you're in the market for your own vintage vehicle or just love looking at cars, check out Country Classic Cars of Staunton, Illinois. They're located just off Interstate 55 and are open Monday through Saturday from 9 to 5.
Want more information on the story you've just seen? Head to our website at weiu.net/hh. Check out our online episode gallery for past and present shows. Send us an email or find out how to contact the people and places we feature in the show. That's weiu.net/hh.
That's all the time we have for this week's show. From Eastern's Old Main, I'm Lori Casey.
And I'm Kate Pleasant. We'll see you next time.
Heartland Highways is made possible in part by Consolidated Communications, offering customers high-speed internet, phone service, and digital TV service packages that include high-definition channels, DVR, and hundreds of sports, movies, and music channels. More information on these services available at consolidated.com.
And I'm Kate Pleasant. We'll see you next week.
Hey, we're here at the something building where...
Administration building.
Well, I practiced this 1,000 times, why can I not? Hello, and thanks for joining us today. This week we're coming to the And thanks for joining us today. This week we're coming to the
White lights outline the building. Restore and drive these automotive pieces of history. Pieces of automotive history. Why can't I say story? We headed back to Illinois to do something. I got it. Back to Illinois to visit. Yeah, pick it up. Back over to Illinois to. We'll see you next time.
I was like going like
Don't do the horse.